One of my friends said to me, Argent, one of the final red pills is that cliches can be a good thing, sticking to a formula can be a good thing. These things are not necessarily bad. You don't always have to try to reinvent the wheel, and you don't always have to try to be creative simply for the sake of being creative if you really have nothing like important to add. And on this channel, I will often give credit to things that try to do something a bit different, try to put a new spin on a formula, try to have kind of a new character, stuff like that. But that being said, there's also a place for things that are more to formula or are more just kind of genre ish, but you can tell they put more than 5 seconds into it. You can tell that like the people involved in it actually kind of cared what they were doing and actually tried to make a decent quality product, even if it is just kind of fairly in line and nothing like inventing the wheel. I appreciate that kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with making just like a dumb, fun action movie. There's nothing wrong with making a generic horror movie. What I tend to like is when you get into stuff like that, like I said, in a lot of these genres are just like this mass produced garbage. It's just basically a sewer pipe. But every now and again, you find something of decent quality within all of the refuse. And the genre that is by far the most guilty of this is isekai, which is an endless stream of mass produced garbage that people obviously put no effort into. Like the stupid reincarnated as a vending machine. It's very clear that, kind of like with horror movies, like if you notice with horror movies, basically if there's a gimmick they can come up with, like a guy killing people with a hammer, a guy killing people with a screwdriver, or like a minor kill, like just if there's like a slight gimmick, they will make a horror movie out of it. Isekai is like that too. If they can come up with any kind of gimmick, they will make an anime series out of it. And they are almost universally horrible, like I said, mass produced garbage. A romantic comedy anime is also like that. Although personally, I don't think it's as bad as what happens with isekai or what happens with shonen, where you get this mass produced like shonen nonsense where everybody's trying to like be the next Naruto, everyone's trying to be the next Juju Kaisen, everyone's trying to catch lightning in a bottle, that kind of thing. But you still get a lot of stuff that's just very generic. A lot of it is like harem or G slur stuff, or just has like really obnoxious like drama and love triangles and stuff like that. And it's always nice when you come across something that doesn't have that nonsense in it. And they clearly spent more than 5 minutes writing. And I think Loving Yamada at level 999, or My Love Story with Yamada at level 999, is a good example of this. It is a good, solid shojo romantic comedy that has likable characters, doesn't have unnecessary drama, doesn't have a harem, doesn't have like weird degenerate relationships. It's just something that's very wholesome, that's fun and easy to watch, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with something that you can watch, that you have fun watching, that's not life changing, but you walk away from it with a smile on your face, going, you know what, that was an enjoyable experience. And I think this anime is very much like that. And if you kind of like romantic comedies or like shojo or stuff like that, I would definitely recommend this one. So, getting into the story itself, we have our two main characters, Akane and Yamada. Now, I don't like this whole narrative that opposites attract. I've never found that. I never liked those kind of relationships. There is a difference between opposite personalities and complementary personality. That is, if people were actually opposites, like one of them would like be a greedy asshole and the other one would be really generous, or one of them would be like really sexually promiscuous and the other would be very like puritanical. Most relationships that are supposed opposites attract are really not opposites attract. It's people who have different but complementary personalities that fill in for the other person. Like one of them is extroverted, one of them is introverted, one of them's more social, one of them's a bit more of an airhead, the other is a bit more of a planner, but they have a lot of like positive traits in common. Like they're both loyal to their partner, they're both nice people, they're both thoughtful. and they kind of make up for each other's flaws, but they aren't things that really hurt the other person or are grating to the other person. They're things that kind of complete the other person, and I always like romance stories that are like that. And this one is very much like that. So we have our two main characters. Akane is basically just a very normal but pretty and sweet girl. So she's a little bit of an airhead, but she's going to university and she's just very nice. Like she's a nice girl. She's fashionable. She's very good to get along with. Most people tend to like her. I guess you could say that she's a girl with Stacy characteristics. And the series starts off with her being dumped by her boyfriend who was cheating on her. She started playing this MMO called Forest of Savior that she kind of became obsessed with. She's like really bad at it. But to be fair, like that's not really unrealistic. I find a lot of girls will tend to get involved with like an MMO or a mobile game or something like that. And they're not really like a gamer, or by that I mean they don't really understand the basic mechanics that well, and they just kind of play it and fumble through it, and it's more of kind of a social exercise. Now she's in this guild called Chocolate Rabbit, and another person in this guild is our Sigma male autistic Chad Yamada. So Yamada is an extremely good looking guy who I'm pretty sure has like Asperger's or something, because he's very emotionless in person. He can't really read social cues. He's just extremely blunt. Like if he's bored with a conversation, he'll just walk away or stuff like that. And he constantly gets confessed to by girls, but he doesn't really understand like what it even really means to be attracted to girls in that way. Like he's clearly heterosexual, but he finds most women just really uninteresting and boring and an unproductive use of his time. He is a gamer. He is a semi-professional pro gamer who plays FPSs. So he like streams for a living. He's in high school, though he's going to graduate soon. I think Yamada is 18 or something, and Akane is something like 20. So according to modern logic, Akane is a pedophile, I guess. And so we already have an aspect of wish fulfillment. We have the good-looking autistic guy who's a pro gamer who meets like this nice, pretty, fashionable, outgoing girl who immediately falls for him. So there's that aspect of us, because all of us, like people who are gamers who want to rise up, who support ethics in video game journalism, who support Gamergate 2.0, wish this kind of thing could happen to us, but just it's probably not going to happen. So, like I said, they're in the same guild. They kind of bump into each other at a MMO related event. Kane kind of latches onto Yamada. He takes her to like a bar. They just kind of sit there. He just is kind of like, he's a nice guy. He doesn't really understand like the angst and stuff. So she just rants to him about her boyfriend for like 4 hours, and he's just not paying any kind of attention to her. So she gets super drunk. She wakes up in his bed the next day. It turns out they didn't have sex. He just didn't want her to like stumble home and maybe get like molested or hurt herself or something. So he was just a gentleman and let her stay over until she could sleep off her hangover. So almost immediately we kind of start liking Yamada. He's a bit of a spurg. He's very, very blunt to people. Like he'll say they're a loser, or he's like, when girls are confessing to him, he'll be like, okay, are you done? This is a waste of my time. I'm going to go do something else. And Akane is initially like, oh, he's really good looking. I kind of have a bit of a crush on him. But over time, their relationship really develops. He's just a very solid dude who's there for her. Like, there's a part of the show I really like where Akane gets super sick and is like, I don't know if she's like fatally sick or something, but she's really bad. And Yamada comes over and like nurses her to health and like takes her to the hospital and stuff like that. And it's just very sweet. And it's just she kind of brightens up his life. She like cooks for him and stuff like that because he's a gamer and gamers don't cook for themselves. So like she cooks for him. She kind of acts a bit like his wife in some ways, and he's just kind of a solid dude who's there for her. And then we like meet the rest of the guild. There's this the leader of the guild is like this old, really friendly man who I don't know if he's like a yakuza or something, but there's a running joke that like everyone they meet knows him and owes him like 20 different favors. And he just always seems to have access to a lot of stuff. There's also Yamada's like best friend who role plays as a girl online, and he's like Akane has girl talk with him a bunch until she figures out that he's actually a male. But he's likable. The rest of the guild is likable. The only kind of unlikable character I'd say is his best Yamada's best friend's younger sister, who basically tries to gaslight Akane into thinking that she's her friend, and then she like sends her on a date with a stalker guy who like tries to molest her. However, Yamada and the other guy show up and save her. So we basically just kind of have a wholesome series where Yamada gradually realizes that he has feelings for her. Akane likes him, but she's kind of unable to confess. So it's not so much a will they or won't they. It's more of just kind of a slow burn with them kind of gradually coming to terms with it. With Akane kind of getting over her past boyfriend and being ready for another relationship, and Yamada kind of coming out of his autistic stupor and actually being like, "Oh, this is a nice girl. I should probably snap her up." So it's been getting good reviews. I think it's got like 8s and 9s out of 10 on a lot of the review sites on the aggregators. Definitely one of the higher rated romantic comedies we've had in quite some time. So if you're looking something that's very wholesome with nice characters that portrays a well-developed romance, I definitely say Loving Yamada at level 999 is a good pick, and I would recommend it. Once again, if you're expecting like action or something philosophical or life changing, it's not that, but doesn't have to be.